So, ladies, welcome back to another incredible interview here at the S.K.I.R.T Summit, where we know what you are looking for to help uplevel you in your business, in your personal life, to get the support that you need to be the successful woman that you are. And excited to have our next interview come forward. Julia Katsivo, hopefully I'm saying that right. Her last name is Carter, Julia Carter. She's the founder of Successful and Smart Business Coaching. Who couldn't use more of that? Where she stops women from playing small and sacrificing freedom in their businesses. We're all ears, and we're so glad that you're here with us.
I am so happy to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
So tell us a little bit, how do you get from little Julia to big Julia and successful and smart business coaching? Give us a little bit of the history that got you here.
Oh my goodness. So my story is that as an immigrant from Africa to Canada, I tried to play that straight and narrow road where I went into the Fortune 500 jobs. I went into the public service. I was working with the Canada Revenue Agency and doing what I thought I was supposed to be doing. The thing is, deep inside, there was a part of me that was slowly dying. And this was coming out in the way I was. I was miserable to be around. I spent my money on only the things that brought temporary pleasure. I just really honestly thought this was just how it was supposed to be. But then one day, I just realized that I had given up on my dreams, but they were still there and that it was my responsibility to bring them to birth. And what I discovered was that my heart was in helping women succeed in their businesses because I had seen way too many women give up on really great ideas and visions and plans and businesses. They didn't have the support. They didn't know what they didn't know. They honestly, and then giving it up so that they went to a job that wasn't fulfilling, taking time away from their kids. I wanted to put a stop to that.
Yeah.
And so 2014, the end of 2014, I left my very comfortable, well-paying job with the government, and I branched out to do my own thing, which was my version of stop playing small, stop sacrificing freedom, stop being so afraid, get out and live. And that's what started me on this path, and I'm here today.
So fantastic. So you started this quite a few years ago, working with, and do you work only with women or just predominantly women?
Well, I started off, here's the interesting thing is that it doesn't matter that you've made the decision to stop playing small, it's a journey. So when I started out, for example, right now my colors are pink and purple. When I started out, they were blue, still trying to stay within that corporate-ish structure. So I worked with both men and women. However, what I found was that women were really struggling in things that men did not have an acute understanding of. For the men, they'd be like, oh, I just have this goal to make this amount of money and I'm going to make it. But for the woman, it would appear as though she didn't have what it took, but that wasn't true. It's because of all these overlaying stories that have been really passed down through generations and have impacted women in a way that they haven't anybody else, that were helping them play small by thinking, well, if I make more money, what does that mean with the dynamics in my marriage? If I make more money, what does that mean with my sense of community? If I go on a stage, what does that mean when it comes to safety? And I found that that was my sweet spot, was I know women, I understand, I can help you. And that's why, yeah. But I do have men, growth-minded men who also have struggles, that they've had issues, even being vulnerable with a group of other men. So I'm very open to that. I just find that with a community of women, the conversations are deeper and different than if we mix the genders. For some strange reason, it just seems to work out that way.
Yeah, well, we do know, and especially, here at this summit and in partnership with S.K.I.R.T Magazine, that women are different, and it, we're definitely not into the man bashing here, but the way that they solve their problems and the problems that they have or the challenges that they have, can be so different than women. Our S.K.I.R.T listener is very likely a successful woman, or on the outside has the appearance of success. You know, she's either got her own business, maybe she's climbing that corporate ladder, but as we all know, and we know as women, I mean, that's not all that defines us. We're wearing 17 hats. We're a mom, we're a spouse or a significant other, or maybe we're single, maybe we're a caregiver, maybe we're where we want to be and we've got more money than month, maybe we've got more month than money, you know, but we see a future. So you know, we definitely understand here that the challenges might be different. And even when it's the exact same challenge, our approach to it and what's going to work
That's right.
might be slightly different in order to get those lasting changes
That's
that
right.
really will bring about success. So good for you for recognizing that and honoring that. And so you're working with women.
Mhm.
You've been working with women for a couple of years now. What are some examples? Like, tell us about some of your clients and some of their successes and some of the challenges that you've helped them with.
Yes. So with the women, you nailed it. So with the women who come, it's that outward appearance is by all means successful, or they appear to be well on their way. The thing about that is when you see a strong woman, you assume that she doesn't have challenges or problems or insecurities. And so you end up minimizing anything she brings up. If she says, man, raising kids is hard, they'll be like, oh yeah, but you wanted them for so long. Boom, shut down.
Right.
What I found was that, so the women who come to me are women who otherwise know how to solve their problems, but maybe they get to an income level and it doesn't matter what they do, nothing is happening there. The money's not increasing. Their team is falling apart. Their schedule is falling apart. They suddenly get responsibilities that they just don't know what to do with. So when they come to me, they're looking for growth. Um, and they say, for some strange reason, my income has just stalled. So one woman was stalled at about $50,000, and she's responsible for her children, her family. And what happened is we were speaking. So through the coaching sessions, we were speaking, and it was not about business. I was asking her questions about self. And what happened is that because of a past of relationships in which she felt like a failure, she had internalized some of the messaging and translated it into her business. So her business was starting to take off, and she got to this place where she was like, no, it can't be like that. I'm the one who can't maintain a relationship, including a business relationship. I can't be successful. I can't do this. I can't do that, without even realizing that those are things that she had decided for herself. Within 10 months, she hit $150,000 and is still growing. And up until today, if you really ask what the difference was, is that she found herself.
Nice.
She found herself. And she started to learn the difference between thoughts, feelings, actions, decisions, and the fact that you have choice and power over what thoughts you pay attention to and what feelings you give into. I have another lady who wanted to transition from corporate law to real estate. And she didn't know anyone. She was very afraid. She was walking out of something that was already successful that she had done for a very long time. And she didn't really know how to break through the market. So what we did is we tapped into what was natural about her. She's a nurturer. So she's this woman who used to cook. And honestly, it doesn't matter if you ate, you would show up at her house because of what she made and how she presented it. She was so good at presentation. And so we used that, we leaned into that. And what did we do? She set up food, set up drinks, set up this amazing display, and invited real estate agents over and entertained them over and again. And guess what? The business took off because she found a marketing angle in which she could safely and happily play. That was her domain. So what she was able to see for herself was that she didn't necessarily have to go out and do things that she didn't want to do or just wouldn't even know how to begin doing. It was what you already have. What can you use? What can we do about it? And then having that courage to say, if I can, spend this money to entertain friends and family, I can surely spend this money to entertain for business purposes and start seeing how I can, learn how to make expenses and income work for me.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What a great lesson. What a great lesson. So where are you going from here as successful and smart? Like, tell us about you and your business, and how you've grown.
Well, my goodness, this business has grown me. Um, so what I was always interested in was this. I wanted to find a way to make money doing what I loved within my energy and time constraints. Now, just growing up, I realized that I had health challenges that were making it very hard for me to do the 9 to 5, which I did for 17 years. It just wasn't working out for me. And it used to bother me that if I took a sick day, it meant that that day was wasted in terms of productivity or work or that sort of thing. So what I wanted was a way in which I could work and that it could flow with my life, not be these separated units in which, you show up, you do this, you get out, you go, and been there, done that. It wasn't working for me. I wasn't happy that way. And so I created my own business model. And this is where I call it intuitive planning, where it was, again, looking at my strengths, looking at what I could do, looking at what I had available to me, and also thinking long-term in terms of, in 5 to 10 years, is this going to be something around my neck? Or is this something that I will have been able to grow into? So a home-based business had to be it for me because I want to be around my family. I've waited so long to have one that I was going to completely enjoy it. I wanted to be in a place in which I was surrounded by nature. So a home in nature had to be it. And that was the goal. So when I was making my plans, it was around the core values. When I was looking at the pricing structure, it was around things that were quite scary. So for example, when I did the math, just as an example, and said, if you have 5 clients who pay you $10,000, there's your 50K. And all you have to do is focus on servicing these clients, and you have the rest of the time to take care of your health, your family needs, anything else. And it was just giving myself permission to create what would work for me. Now, moving forward, this is what I've discovered. I love, love, love people's dreams and seeing them grow. But I do know that it can take over and become your everything. So intentionally, where I'm headed is going to that place where we have all these women who have done extremely well because of the tools and resources that Successful and Smart Business Coaching has been able to give them, to come back and give to others, to come back and say, hey, this is my particular line of business. This is what I did, and this is how it's worked for me. A sort of ecosystem in which women who would otherwise not have access to this level of information or expertise, or just even seeing someone who looks like them, who's doing it and is making it happen, could just be enough to make that small shift. So we're looking at Successful and Smart Business University and scholarships and funding. So that's, that long-term vision. And it starts by the kind of trees that I'm planting here. So when I look at the work that I'm doing, I look at it as planting trees. And we want really strong trees so that we can provide for generations what is needed so that people can keep doing what they're doing, even in a world in which it seems like it's going to hell.
Very good. And then that brings to mind, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the next best time is right now, and planning for the future, and planting that tree that will build what you're looking for the shade that you're looking for in the future. So that's awesome. I love that. And yes, there are days where I look outside that window and I'm like, hell in a handbasket. That that's where it's headed. But I know that I am so blessed that we get to work with so many experts and entrepreneurs and thought leaders and those like yourself that are looking to make a change for today and for the future.
That's right.
To combat what's going on in our world and
right.
provide solutions and resources and make those stands. So thank you so much for that. And very much in agreement. We haven't known each other long, but I think we're right there. I got you. I see you. And I like what I see.
I love it.
So Julia, what other tools or tips would you share with our listeners if you're not feeling successful and smart today?
Yeah.
If there's a part of your life that's not fitting into that successful and smart vision that you have.
Yeah.
What can you do today, or what are some things that you should be putting in place?
Yeah. So, women, like, we've got all these plans and dreams, but unfortunately we get caught up in the, oh, by now I thought I'd be making six figures. You don't even know what six figures is. It's just this idea that you have of what you think you want. But when you get down to the really nitty gritty of it, so, it's saying, okay, what do I want really? So what is that six figure representing to me? So in my example, it's, can I work from home? Can I be productive, but on some days understand that other things will take me away from that? So it's really writing down exactly what you want and then visualizing it. So how we do this is in our day-to-day. So for example, if you've read so many books that say you need to be up by 4 a.m. or you're not productive, it's looking at how you are anyway and saying, well, I've noticed that I get up a little bit earlier than my alarm. So can I maybe use that time, instead of thinking about all my worries and troubles, can I use that time to feed myself something else? Like, hey, listen, I know this thing that's coming up is a bit of a challenge, but this is how we're going to break it down. The other thing I do is I highly suggest that you write down what you're going to do, your 3 non-negotiables for the day, no matter what. It means those are the 3 things that you're going to do. Now, these are for different areas of your life, but let's say for your business, it's saying absolutely these 3 things must get done today. Now, don't get hung up on the timing or this or that. It's just, no, this is what I must do today, and track it. Where we fall apart is that we don't track what we plan on doing and what we did do. So we don't give ourselves things to remember. So the day could pass and someone will say, how was your day? And you'll be like, oh, it was good. What happened? Blank. There's so many things that happened, but you just didn't keep track of them. You weren't present, you weren't mindful, and you weren't celebrating what you did do. You sent out an email that would have terrified you, 2 weeks ago. Can you celebrate that? You picked up the phone and you try to pitch an idea. Can you celebrate that? You gotta celebrate these things. So at the close of each day, what I do is I look at my stuff and I celebrate. I celebrate something. Even if it means you went through the day without crying and breaking down, that's huge, okay? Because there's some days when you're all but crawling through that day. I celebrate that. Then I reflect. What did we do? What could we have done better? Now, the idea here is not to beat yourself up, but it's to make the plan for the next day. So the kind of planning that I'm into is the kind where you set up that big vision, you set up that big goal, and then you break it up into, what am I doing every day? And then based on what you're doing every day, you see, what do I need to tweak here so that tomorrow this is what becomes my thing? Just making that one thing a little bit better every single day, and writing and tracking. And you're training yourself to notice what you are doing. You're training yourself to celebrate, to be solutions oriented, growth minded. You're training yourself to look at obstacles and say, okay, I understand right now that I'm experiencing something difficult with my feelings, with even going ahead and doing this thing that I need to do. However, I've been here before. Now, how did I get through that? Well, while you're tracking, you're giving yourself visuals, you're giving yourself information, you're helping yourself get there. And so it's, picking your 3 non-negotiables a day, writing them down at the start of the day. Now, this is a part that's difficult because people say, oh, my day is all up in the air. I wake up and I have to deal with whatever comes slamming at me. Well, you made that choice. You could decide, when I get up, those 10 minutes, the same way we have biological breaks that you can't help but have to go to, treat it the same way. Those 10 minutes when I get up, I'm immediately deciding, how do I want to be today? What energy do I want for today? Now, when it's a very, very difficult day, what I do tell myself is, the energy I want today is to just be present and to take deep breaths. So don't make it hard on yourself. Don't try and be, encouraging and rewarding when your bucket is empty, and then on the days when you have all this stamina is when you can say, how do I want to be today? I want to get things done, or I want to deal with this particular challenge because I have the energy for it. Then decide, what are your 3 non-negotiables? And then connect with something higher than yourself, because you're going to need something outside of your own strength to pull this through. you need all the support you can get. So connect what you're doing to something higher than yourself. So for me, it's God. For you, it might be something else. You want to connect to something else so that it can keep you anchored, and then go through your day. At the end of the day, even if it's the 10 minutes before your head nods off, do your celebration, do your reflection, and then decide what your 3 non-negotiables will be for the next day. And this is something we do in NLP and hypnotherapy, is self-hypnotize yourself. You tell yourself, tomorrow, I'm going to take care of this, that, and the other. When you wake up, you will realize that that's what's going to come up. I'm going to take care of this, that, and the other. Now, don't punish yourself with a how or oh, or it's just, this is what I'm going to do today, and I'm leaving it at that. And then watch magic unfold as you get it done.
Fantastic. What great advice. I heard so many things in there that, we could unpack, but it was just such a great story and guide that you shared with us. And so in line with what we've heard other experts here at the S.K.I.R.T Summit, as well as, I get to hear back right corner of the room from some of the greatest in the industry. I love that small, attainable goals that really do open the door to magic. And just an example, I wrote myself a short list yesterday, being the holiday, of things that I was like, oh, we've got an little bit of extra time. I don't want to do those today because tomorrow, today's a holiday. First 30 minutes today, 3 of the 5 were done, and I hadn't even looked at the list. Like, I just did them. And then I looked at the list in between interviews and I went, well, I've already gotten 3 of the 5 things done. Like, didn't even give them a second thought. Like, it just was the next thing to do. Went ahead, took care of it, got an email, answered it. And I went, well, looky there. How accomplished am I? And it's only noon.
I know. And it's so easy that, someone else will look at you and say, how the heck did you do that? And yet it's so different if you put in all these restrictions and complications. Women are wired different. And when you realize that you're really meant to flourish and bloom, just not having within boxes or paradigms, or this is how it should be done, or if I don't do it by this time, then I'm a failure because I didn't do it by this time. You got it done. Like.
Fantastic. I absolutely love it. So you've given such incredible value. I don't even know what next question to ask, but let me ask it this way then. So you start to put some of these practices in place, very simple tips that you gave, at the end of the day, reflect on the day that you've had, and celebrate those wins. Be mindful and be resourceful and be realistic in what you put on your plate. I don't know about you, but I am terrible some days about writing a to-do list that would literally take a dozen people to accomplish.
Yeah.
And then, beating myself up when that doesn't get like, nobody could do that. I've not figured out how to add more than 24 hours in a day. I've been trying for years as an event producer. I've been trying to manipulate time. I have still not figured out how to do that. And I too can fall back on just a to-do list that would be Herculean and can't be done. And then holding myself accountable to that. It's not beneficial. Fortunately, I tend to pull myself out of that one pretty quickly these days. But so when you get into this flow and you're creating to-do lists that make sense and move you forward, and you're celebrating, like, what are some of the changes that you can expect? And what do you do next? How do you take that a little deeper?
Oh, I love it. So in the beginning, and this is just natural, so please start getting used to this. In the beginning, you set up your list and whatnot. You even notice how you feel about it. It's so good. And you may even start off. What I've discovered is that a quarter way into the journey, challenges show up. So for example, you've been getting up at a certain time, or you've been doing your visualizing, you've been reflecting and making your plans. And then, by the end of week 1 or 2, life happens. And off it goes. Expect that. So before, I would look at those things as proof of what I couldn't do. I would look at them as proof of how I couldn't do this. Instead, when you anticipate that it will happen, it's a wonderful way to redirect. And it's also a wonderful way to look at what you have set down for yourself. So if you write down, you know, today I'm reaching out to 5 people and I'm asking for business. And, you know, like you go back and you're like, well, you didn't reach out to 5 people and ask for business. Instead of beating yourself up around that, ask yourself, did I set up the different crumbs? Did I set up the opportunities for those 5 people? You know, or did I expect to just wake up and magically just mysteriously find people to talk to? Right? Like what can I do today that will give me 5 people tomorrow or the day after? So it's just getting into that mindset of growing into your plans and growing into your dreams. They're going to fall apart. Well, you know, to be more holistic, while we're going through our journey, there's a growing up that has to take place. So for example, I used to give in to my feelings. And if you had told me this, I would have denied it. I would have been like, no, I'm strong-willed. I do what I need to do. I would have thought that that was who I am. No, whenever I'd have the most uncomfortable feelings, anything that brought up any semblance of pain or shame or guilt, or I would completely abandon that task. And then this is how I would cover it. I would say, it's not intuitive. It's not where I should be. I'm being redirected somewhere else. I'll just cloud it with whatever my mind would accept for me to say, I'm going to play small here. I'm not going to rise up to the challenge. So it's really understanding that you're only going to grow as far and as deep as you let yourself. And if you find a situation in which it's completely just mind-blowing, like you've got your non-negotiables, but then things are falling apart, that's the opportunity to lean into that and say, what's the goal here? What am I being shown? What am I seeing here? Where do I need to step up as a leader? Maybe set up boundaries, right? Because I want to accomplish these goals. I want this for myself and for my family. And it's really grounding yourself in that. Now, the thing about the habits is it does take a while to kick in. I'm not going to lie. And it does take a while for them to become consistent. Now, this is where you have to be so careful about your inner mind game. What you tell yourself 24/7 matters, because that's going to be the difference between you staying on track and you giving up, you falling off and giving up.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is speak to yourself the way you would a child you love, the way you would someone you loved. When you see yourself feeling like, I don't think I can get through those 3 things today, tell yourself, hey, listen, just leave those 3 things out there, okay? Now focus on what you want to right now or need to right now, and watch how everything else will work out. Your energy will come up. Before you know it, you've gone to that task that you thought you wouldn't be able to. Before you know it, someone shows up and says, hey, you know, like for me, it was like gardening, where I was like, I can't even begin to, where am I going to get those flowers and all that? And a neighbor shows up and says, hey, do you want these? You know, it's just keep the goal. Stay easy with a plan. Stay easy with how it's going to come about, and give yourself lots of grace. You got to turn it up a notch. So this is what I mean by that. If you set for yourself a goal, let's say you say, I'm going to make $150,000 by the end of this year. And 3-4 months pass by and you've barely scrapped 5. Like you're like somewhere there at the bottom. And you're like, this is unrealistic. So I'm going to bring the goal down, or whatever you may decide. This is what I say. How about you look at what you can raise up within yourself so that you can meet your goal? How about you be faithful to that goal by what you decide and what you do and what you say? How about you rise to the challenge of meeting that goal? And it doesn't matter what amount of money you come up with, it's definitely going to be way more than what you settled for. And there's a difference.
And one of the things that I found that kind of self-sabotaging with putting together lists like that is putting the item on the list that involves like 82 steps before you get to cross that off. Like, please tell me that's not just me. And like, ladies, if you're out there listening, I hope it's not just me. But like, oh, let me narrow it down to 3 things. And you put like 3 huge things that involve like so many pieces that you don't get to check anything off. Like, definitely that's one area that I have found, you know, when
absolutely
using a system like yours, I need to keep in mind.
I'm so glad you say that, because, you know, when I even say 3 non-negotiable goals, immediately we go to what's big and what's hard and what's let's just think about this whole setup like a jar, different sized rocks, pebbles, and stones. So your three non-negotiables are, you could pick a rock. A rock could be a big thing. Can I tell you what an example of a rock is? Sitting down with your spouse or significant other and looking at your money and being open about how it's coming, how it's going, and what you need. That's a big rock, okay? Now, how many of those can you truly go through in a day? Or sitting down, you know?
Yeah, you can only do so much, but that conversation,
there we go,
is the piece that you can do.
That's
like,
right.
You're not putting it on your list that by the end of today, we're going to have the next 50 years of our budget planned out. We're going to know every dollar that's coming in. We know what percentages we're going to make every year for our retirement. We know where we're going to invest. We know where we're going to vacation. And we know what our next, 5 homes are going to be. Like, hello, 24 hours, ladies, 24 hours.
And we're playing the long game here. So sometimes we think about, like, maybe you might see a highly successful couple and you're like, man, they've got it together. What you don't realize is they had many of those conversations almost every other day or every week for very many years. And they started off very messy until they got to the place where it's fluid. And that happens with business. Before you get to that place where it's flowing and it's fluid, you've got the trial and error, you've got the mistakes, but when you pick these kinds of goals, so even things that are non-negotiable, this is what I mean, is what is gonna move the needle. So for example, when it comes to health, I know that it's what I take, what I do. So meaning the kind of foods that I eat, exercise, and like water, right? But instead of making that a project, this is what I do. I say, you're gonna clean the house on Monday, there's your exercise. You're going to do the gardening on Wednesday, there's your exercise, and you're going to do any other cleanup jobs on Friday. Yeah, you're 3 times a week. And guess what? It is exercise. Whether you want to say, no, exercise is only having to go to the gym. No, this is how it works with my life. As long as it gives me the same results, I'm not going to put any more guilt or shame on myself for what I didn't do. I'm going to celebrate what I did do. And when I look around and I see a nice home, then it tells me I am present in my home. For the business, I got to make an offer a day. Now, what this does is it forces me to be in conversation with people and put myself up there every single day. Even if it's an hour, you can figure it out so that I do have people to talk to, that I can present offers to. You see, before I would say, you need to have 28 sales conversations for the month. And then the month would come and go. And I'll beat myself up and look back and then ask myself, what opportunities did you create for these 28 conversations to take place? Like, what did you do? If you had made even one goal a day to say, today I'm going to go out to a networking event, today I'm going to reach out to this person who said they want to speak with me. These are small and insignificant, and they may not feel that big for you, especially if you're looking at social media. But these are the things that literally lead you to what it is that you want to accomplish. These are the things that actually make or break your dreams and your plans. So those non-negotiables are, if you're looking at big rocks, then be wise. Take maybe one big rock and then look for something that's medium. And by that, I mean the level of difficulty, time, energy, what is needed. So I'm at the place now where I can quickly offer someone something for sale. So to me, that's almost like a small rock or a pebble. Whereas if this was 5, 6, 7 years back, that would have been a big rock, okay? So depending on where you are, you gotta look at it. It's like, what is literally gonna move the needle here? And those are the 3 non-negotiables. So we're not talking about things that, you look down the line and say, well, I did all these things, why don't I have those results? It's gotta be, did you do the things that lead you to those results? Did you do those things? And did you give yourself that time and space for your body and your mind to say, oh, this is how we do it. This is how we do it. And that's how it gets easy, right? Is we make body memories. We have repetition. We give ourselves a standard so that now making an offer is a standard for me. Like, like a day will go through and it'll come to mind where it'll be like, did you offer anyone your services? Did you offer any help? And immediately I'll be like, oh yeah, this is how I did it. Because it doesn't necessarily have to be this very set plan. It's within what you have created that you work with.
Fantastic. Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and While we went deep, there's also so much more to come. So I know you have a great VIP gift for our ladies who do step up to VIP. Go ahead and share what that gift is, and you're going to want to take advantage of this, ladies.
Absolutely. So ladies, this is the thing. You want to grow your business. You want to live out your dreams. You want to be more holistic. The thing is, you may not necessarily be in a position where you want to buy a program or a coach or a plan. That becomes another project unto itself, right? But you still need help. So what I've done is in your inbox, you receive weekly questions that ask you the questions you never quite thought about. And when you come up with your answers, they help you with your decision-making processes. So for example, we dive deep into self-worth and where you learned how to receive love and give love, and then see how that's translating through your business, or how you grew up learning in your learning systems. How are you as a learner, and see how that's translating as growth in your business as a leader. We look at money. We actually dive deep into money. And so the questions help you see what your money blueprint story is, why you attract the kind of clients that you attract, why you make the kind of decisions that you make for yourself. And all of this is important because when you start making these decisive shifts and you start making these decisions, it's like I said before, everything starts to fall in line. Everything starts to fall in place. We're amazing. The problem is we love to sit in indecision. We think it's safe. And sometimes it's because we're not asking the right questions, or we're not understanding how it connects with our heart and what we're doing or what we want to do. So what these questions do is they show up once a week in your mailbox and they give you that time. So if you can carve out for yourself 15 minutes a week to just sit down and answer the questions at the beginning of the week, that will help you throughout the week make the right decisions that will grow your business, even if you don't have a business plan.
Fantastic. So that insight from Julia over about an 8-week period will be available to you as a VIP. So you're going to want to take advantage of that. Go ahead and grab that VIP access if you haven't done so yet. And of course, we are leading from the summit into our live events. So upgrading to that VIP is also going to get you your ticket to either the Atlanta or the Charleston conference. We'd love to see you there in person. So Julia, thank you so much for your time today and for sharing. I've absolutely enjoyed this. Great content, great value, and we appreciate you being here with us today.
Thank you so much. This is my jam. It feels like, and I'm really excited for the conferences coming up and the opportunities, because we women, we get together and you can just talk for hours, right? And just get your juice and get filled up while we're doing this.
Thank you so much. So ladies, we'll be back for another amazing interview just after this short break, and we'll see you then.